PS2 or PS3? That is the question. Now, to a lot of you, this probably sounds like a really, really dumb question. Of course, PS3. It's got a higher motion value, does more damage, as well as PS2 will hit for 7 ticks, which is what you're seeing on screen now, whereas PS3 will hit for 9 ticks. So higher motion value, higher damage, and more ticks just effectively should mean overall more damage, right? Or at least that's the way it's been throughout every Monster Hunter, and theoretically that's the same way it works within Monster Hunter Wilds. There's just one problem. And this is me showing as well as asking for help, because this shouldn't be a thing. You see, as a scummy heavy bowgun main, I've done the obvious thing of making every single heavy bowgun, and I always come back to this thing, Steel Assault, which I believe is the Autry, and the final evolution of the Autry at very least. I always end up coming back to this, simply just because, numbers-wise, with the variety of different builds that I have utilised, it's always been the highest. It has a 6-round mag compared to like PS3 heavy bowguns, which are like 4-round mags, and even like the Artian weapons, the highest I've gotten is a 5-round mag. So it's doing PS3 levels of damage, including with it being only 7 ticks rather than 9. Has a higher magazine, and it comes with Tetrad, and I can slot in opener. Huh. Oh, you don't believe me? That's fine. What you're watching now is me swapping over to the Pierce ammo powder, which will give the Griffin, the Artisan, or whatever weapon. Now, PS3, we've just seen the damage that was being produced with PS2, which is 168 per shot with 7 ticks. We're now going to be using PS3. We're getting like 190 with 9 ticks, so 9 hits, you can see. This is with opener, so 179 without opener, and then it's pretty consistent from here. Obviously, we do also have Tetrad on. All bowguns will have both opener and Tetrad on. Griffin even has the loveliness that is a critical boost 3 decoration on it, so these numbers are actually theoretically higher than they potentially should be. Whereas when I swap over to other heavy bowguns that I test, they don't actually have critical boost on. I've done this specifically just to show how stupid the Steel Assault actually is. The reason there's a pause between each shot is because after each pause, I'm actually going over to a spreadsheet and tallying the numbers I get. On repeat. These are the numbers for PS2. I'm sorry it's quite small. This is about, I did a bunch of number testing. Each magazine is slightly grayed, so grey, white. The average is like 859. The first magazine was 844. I'm not too sure why that happened, but the rest is 859. There are a few fluctuations. The opening shot is 179. All ticks combined. We then get like 168 without opener, and then when Tetrad kicks in, we hit 176. This is PS3. Basically what you're literally watching on screen now. The opening shot is 190. After that, it drops down to 179. When Tetrad kicks in, it goes up to 186. And the amount of damage per magazine is 913, with 6,391 damage being produced across the whole test. PS2 was 5,998. Obviously, PS3 is doing more than PS2. Obvious reasons. Now, if you actually pay attention, you should notice that the actual damage numbers that are fluttering up on screen, sorry for it lagging slightly, that's me just tabbing in and out. The damage numbers are basically the exact same. There's slight fluctuations in like the 0.7 will become like a 0.1 or whatever, so it's near enough confirmed that the motion values for PS2 and PS3 are the exact same. The only thing that is now different is the amount of times it actually hits. PS2 hitting 7, PS3 hitting 9. I weirdly didn't actually think to test PS1. However, if it follows suit from what was happening in Monster Hunter World, PS1 actually has a higher motion value, but it will hit 5 times, or potentially even 3. I'm not sure. Anyway, back to the test. This is Steel Assault. It comes with Tetrad. I've put a opener / precise on. There's a level 1 precise to give it precise 2, and there is a level 2 expert in for critical eye. So we're now missing that level 3 critical boost that the Griffin had. You should notice that in terms of like the overall damage, that this either goes slightly below or slightly over. Before you start thinking, oh, maybe the raw is off. Yes, slightly. I really wanted to get them the exact same. Steel Assault is 220. The Griffin that I used is 215 without the coefficient. In case you're wondering where I'm getting those numbers from, I have coefficients turned off. So Griffin is 215 or 215. This is 220. So there's a 5 raw difference between them. So these are the numbers that I collected. Now this one looks a little bit weird. Essentially, because it's got a 6-round mag, I've calculated it all twice. Opening shot is like 186, then we hit 175, 175. The shot with Tetrad first being applied is 201, 175. Second Tetrad being applied is 183. On occasion, that 183 does like to pop up with being a 201, depending on whether it crits or not, which is bizarre. Now, the green number in the black box is every 5 shots, which is comparable to Griffin the 2 previous times, and then the red number is the full 6-round magazine. The every 5 shots, I'm either literally 1 behind what Griffin was doing, which was 913. I've put the PS3 up just so you can get like a cross reference. On average, Steel Assault is hitting harder than PS3, almost hilariously so. It keeps up with the overall magazine damage, hitting often like 1 or 2 behind, and on occasion it will do like 50 more, because I don't know. And then we still have an extra round in the magazine, which brings the total magazine to like over 1,000. I've got like 1,095, 1,095, 1,077, 1,131. I don't quite get it. All I know is my gut feeling that Steel Assault was outperforming basically anything and everything I did with a PS3 heavy bowgun was correct. I got so unnerved thinking that I've found something magical or there's like a bug or something going on that I literally sat here for 5 hours and just tested shot for shot for shot. And yeah, all I can say is Steel Assault is, I don't want to say the most powerful PS heavy bowgun. I really don't. But it's definitely performing higher overall. After which I went around and had a look at what other heavy bowgun users are utilizing, and it would seem that the crowd favorite for PS3 heavy bowgun is either Griffin, which I've just shit on, or Wild Stinger, which honestly I can't fathom as to why. So of course, being someone who likes to shit on things, because it's the only enjoyment I have left in life, I tested that as well. Now, for me, this is where it got interesting. You see, Wild Stinger has a base of 220, the exact same as Steel Assault. I've decoed in both level 3 opener and level 3 bandolier, and then the final decoration is a expert, I believe, just to try and get the affinity up so that we can get as many crits as possible. And this is the part where I got very, very confused, because now, minus like affinity, I believe this has like 2% more affinity. The Wild Stinger had ended up with like 2% more affinity. Stats-wise, Wild Stinger and Steel Assault are the exact same. The only real difference, like I said, is that 2% affinity in favour of Wild Stinger and Pierce Ammo 3 in favour of Wild Stinger. Can someone now explain to me as to why Steel Assault is hitting 175 and Wild Stinger is hitting 170? On opener, it hits 181, but Steel Assault hits 186. And on Tetrad, Wild Stinger hits 177, where Steel Assault would either hit 183 or 201. I honestly wish I was joking. I'm not. Mag for mag. Like, Wild Stinger is horrible. It's... Yeah. Don't use it, please. So, on screen now is the full test that I did with shot for shot. It clearly shows Steel Assault basically beating PS2, obviously, despite the fact that it is PS2. PS3, Wild Stinger. I did test a few other things, but honestly, after like 2 shots, it was very clear that Steel Assault is going to win overall. So, in terms of just Pierce and overall damage and performance, Steel Assault does very much seem to be winning. There's very possibly some elusive weird thing that I haven't tested yet. But yeah, this is the results of the test on screen. I don't know what to tell you. PS2 is weaker than PS3, but it's like Steel Assault didn't get the damn memo. I don't understand it. I then wanted to test something else a little bit different. Now, obviously, I've kind of got myself into a little bit of hot water by saying that Flare can have a higher damage potential than Burst, which I still stand by. However, for you Burst fans, don't you worry, I went and tested full mag Burst DPS, utilizing the talent of Burst, and yeah, just added that all into a spreadsheet and just to see what I would get, just to see what I would come up with. Again, I used Griffin for PS2 and PS3, Steel Assault, and then Wild Stinger. Now, this test was actually pretty easy. Just stand and stare at the target, fire off the full mag, and then when it comes up at the bottom where it says hits and total damage or previous damage, that is what I will record. So I'm just going to show it again. 886 this time. There are going to be fluctuations. It is not a perfect system. I did this 10 times each on reset of Burst, recording the damage. I didn't want Burst to carry over each individual time. That kind of defeats the point. When doing this, I did find something quite weird. PS3 has very, very stable output. Basically, there was 0 fluctuation throughout all of it. No fluctuation whatsoever. If one mag hits 700, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth, ninth, and 10th mag would all hit 700. PS2, on the other hand, one would do 700, one would do 680, one would do 710, one would do 850. It would be all over the place. So the one thing I tried to make sure to check is while firing in between the shots to check if, mostly on Steel Assault, I checked on the 5th shot as to whether or not that number actually outperformed what was coming up with PS3. These are my results. The reason Steel Assault, BM, Burst, Mag, full mag, with the skill Burst, is highlighted in green is on the 5th shot, every single one of them was higher than 940, which is what Burst, Mag on PS3 was getting. So, yeah, and also just to show, like, PS2, like 837, 806, 822, 845, 886, 886, 886, yeah. And then you move over to PS3, and it's this very sexy-looking 940, 940, 940. Even Wild Stinger with PS3 was 917, 917, 917. But Steel Assault, again with PS2, is, again, all over the place. It's a little bit weird. I'm not too clued into why that's happening. I'm half hoping Famito watches this video and is like, actually, yes, let's test this. That was a really, really shit impression. It wasn't even remotely close. Oh my god, I should be shot for that. And before someone mentions Affinity, both PS2 and PS3 are the exact same build. Nothing changes other than I go into the bowgun customization and remove the Pierce ammo powder. So it goes from PS2 to PS3 or PS3 to PS2, whatever. They have the exact same build, like literally nothing changes. That could be an argument for swapping between Griffin and then Steel Assault, and then from Steel Assault to Wild Stinger, but for PS1 and PS2, literally nothing else changes. Anyway, my conclusion throughout all of this from what I have tested is quite simply, for some bizarre reason, PS2 on Steel Assault is winning specifically within the Pierce area. I'm not saying it's the best heavy bowgun. I'm not going to say it's the best thing to use ever. There are a myriad of different builds with different ammo types Elemental is performing very, very well at the moment. That being said, when it comes specifically to Pierce, I am having a genuine hard time trying to find something that outperforms Steel Assault. Simply just because Steel Assault didn't get the memo that Pierce 3 is meant to be stronger than Pierce 2. That's the best reason I've got. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. Have fun. Good luck. Don't die. It's bad for the health.